Welcome to Afrika Tuungane. This is a flagship program under Honorable Media Africa on a mission to seek and find solutions to four major intergenerational problems and challenges in Africa: African unity, intra-African trade, intra-African travel, and intra-African tourism. Afrika Tuungane is today here at the University of Nairobi, Department of Kiswahili Language, to seek and find solutions to Africa's greatest challenge and greatest dream, the challenge and the dream of African unity. Afrika Tuungane is today pleased and honored to host Professor Patrick Iribe Mwangi, HSC. Professor Iribe Mwangi is an award-winning, decorated and distinguished professor of Kiswahili language. Professor Iribe Mwangi is renowned and esteemed for his knowledge, practice, experience and expertise in Kiswahili language. Welcome to Afrika Tuungane.
Asante sana.
Professor Iribe Mwangi,
Asante.
HSC.
Yeah.
So this is Afrika Tuungane. It's a special program trying to find a solution to what we believe is Africa's greatest challenge and greatest dream, the dream of African unity.
Yeah.
So on that, we are trying to find a common language and a lingua franca for Africa.
There is only one for Africa.
Yes. Yeah. And in prospect, our candidate for this challenge, petition and dream is Kiswahili language. So I would like to have a conversation with you as a scholar and a professor of Kiswahili language on exactly what it takes for a language to qualify for a lingua franca and a common language for Africa, and Kiswahili being the case. So I'd like to begin. We get right into it with the first question, Professor.
Yes.
So what advantages in terms of language utility does Kiswahili as a language have over the other 5 official languages of the African Union, the likes of English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and Arabic, which are all colonial languages?
It's good that you've mentioned them, and therein lies the first thing that Kiswahili has that the others don't. It's an African language, purely African language.
Yes.
I know one may argue about Arabic, but we know that it's spoken in many other places except Africa. So the truly indigenous language in all the others that you have mentioned is Kiswahili.
Kiswahili.
That's the first thing.
Yes.
And more importantly, it's about the number of people that use that language in Africa.
The speakers of Kiswahili.
The speakers of Kiswahili.
Yes.
We know that all the other foreign languages are spoken in different countries.
Yes.
But depending on who colonized them, there is the Francophone Africa, there is Anglophone Africa, etc.
Etc. Yes.
But for Kiswahili, it is not a colonizer's language. It's not a language for those who have gone to school. It's a language that is used by everyone.
Yes.
So that again makes it very peculiar in terms of being an African language.
Yes.
Yeah.
To our next question, what would make Kiswahili the best candidate in the pursuit of a common language and lingua franca for Africa and Africans?
The native speakers of Kiswahili are very few.
Yes.
They are about 130,000, the figures that were put about 5 years ago. Those are the native speakers. But it has been accepted so much so that it now has millions of speakers in the entire continent.
In the entire continent.
It's widely spoken in Kenya.
Yes.
By almost everyone. I believe in Tanzania, everyone speaks Swahili.
Yes.
In Uganda, in the entire East African region, it has spread its wings to the Western African region. It's being taught even at the universities in Ghana, in Nigeria. It's in South Africa, it's in Botswana, it's in the entire continent.
Of Africa.
Of Africa.
Yes.
That spread, again, makes it a good candidate for being an official African language. So I have mentioned 2 things already.
Yes.
One, the spread.
The spread.
Two, the number of native speakers. But the third one is that being an African language,
yes,
it's easy for people to learn. That again makes it one of the better choices. The fact that it's easy to learn for many Africans. I'm not saying for everyone. Kiswahili as a language distinguishes itself from other native languages because it's highly acceptable. It has been accepted,
yes,
by people from the mainland, by people from the coastal area, and people from very far-flung areas, from where it is used as a native language.
Correct.
The other thing that has made it spread and be accepted as a lingua franca is the extent of the geographical area where it's spoken. Right from Somalia, through Kenya, Tanzania, to Msumbiji, to the islands of Comoros.
Correct.
All those areas speak Kiswahili.
Kiswahili.
Therefore, it is easy for it now to penetrate to the interior from the coast of those different countries. Look at Tanzania, for example. I have just told you it has over 100 languages.
Yes.
But Kiswahili has penetrated in a manner that basically everyone speaks Kiswahili.
Kiswahili, yes.
Same case in Kenya. It has had its moments. It has spread.
Correct.
It's used. It's the national language of Kenya. It's the official language.
Sure.
So all this makes it a language to watch.
Correct.
And you can see that most of its proponents are not even East Africans.
Correct.
I have had people like Malema from South Africa fighting for Kiswahili.
For Kiswahili, true.
I have had people from West Africa. So it is very attractive to the entire continent.
Correct.
I want to say that if you compare to those languages you have mentioned, they are very, very regional. Isizuru in the Southern Africa, Hausa, Yoruba, Western, they are very regional.
As compared to Kiswahili.
As compared to Kiswahili. Kiswahili has spread. You'll hardly ever get a community or even a school or even a university in Kenya teaching Yoruba. Or Isizuru. But you'll have universities and schools
teaching Kiswahili.
Teaching Kiswahili in Botswana, in South Africa,
Egypt, as you've said.
Yes. So I would want to see Kiswahili as a language that has spread beyond a given region.
So Kiswahili is almost continental.
It is continental. In my opinion, it is continental. It may have strengthened in some areas than others, especially in the Eastern Africa, but it's there in Libya.
Correct.
For example, there are universities in Libya that teach Kiswahili.
Correct.
It's there. It's being taught, as I have said, in Egypt.
Correct.
That shows its spread.
Correct.
Yes.
That brings us to our next point of conversation. So what does it take for a language to be described as standard and formal? And does Kiswahili pass these two tests, Professor?
Standard and formal.
Standard and formal.
A language,
yes,
is first standardized. A standard form is a form that is used in official circles, in offices,
correct,
in education. That's a formal. That's a formal language.
Yes.
And the formal language is the standardized language. In the case of Kiswahili, with its over 18 dialects, it was necessary to get one dialect and make it formal.
Formal, yes.
The dialect that we use in school, the dialect that we use to write books, the dialect that we teach here, the dialect that an officer will read a speech
correct,
in public. That is the formal dialect. Now, the formal dialect is the standardized dialect. Standardization involves selection and making of choices.
Correct.
Okay? In the case of Kiswahili, standardization was done in 1930.
In 1930, the standardization of Kiswahili as a language.
As a language. So that variety that was standardized then is what we still use
to date.
Yeah.
So meaning now that Kiswahili has been standardized, it's a formal language.
You see, it's not the entire Kiswahili that was standardized. It's one dialect, what we call the standard Kiswahili, or Kiswahili Sanifu. Other native dialects, in Lamu we have Kiamu, we have Kisiu, in Mombasa we have Kimvita, and many others. In Zanzibar we have Kipemba and whatever.
Correct.
All those dialects exist, but there is one which is called the standard Kiswahili, which is used in formal engagements.
Correct.
Yes.
Now that brings me back to the origins, the roots of Kiswahili as a language. Is it any more in context that Kiswahili originated from Africa or from the East African coast? Is it in context from a scholar perspective, the origin?
For us, the linguists, it is a no contest. Yeah. It's an open and closed case. When students get to the university to read Kiswahili, first year, first semester, what they are exposed to is the history of Kiswahili. And therefore, by the time they get to the next semester, they know it's a no contest. Because as I have said, there is historical evidence. Historical evidence in that, I can even mention a few.
Correct.
The early visitors, before the Arabs came, the Chinese had come to the East Coast. And other early explorers, Marco Polo and others, they actually found people speaking a language similar to what we call Kiswahili. There were words and phrases. For example, there was a king who was called Gomingi.
Gomingi.
That's Kiswahili.
Kiswahili, yes.
And had a son called Mkomawatu. Kiswahili. Long before the Arabs came. So that you cannot say it's an admixture of Arabic and Bantu languages. There have been a lot of archaeological work, and they have found tools and artifacts that were used by the Swahili people long before the coming of Arabs, which are similar to those used by other Bantus. That is archaeological evidence. There is also linguistic evidence. In that the roots of many Kiswahili words are similar to the roots of many Bantu words. Okay?
Correct.
When you look to the original things, not things that were brought to Africa, you will find that there are many similar words. Yeah.
So still on the qualities of Kiswahili as a language. So is Kiswahili a natural language? And what qualities make a language to be described as a natural language?
A natural language, this is what I'll say. There are two types of languages. There are artificial languages and there are natural languages.
Correct.
Artificial languages are languages that are created by human beings.
Correct.
There's like Esperanto, where people sit down and create a grammar, and create sounds, and create words for that language, and then give them meanings. That is an artificial language. Yeah, it is created. Any other language is natural. Because it grows naturally. You start using it naturally. Words are spread naturally. So we can talk of natural and artificial. And clearly Kiswahili is a natural language. Yeah.
Kiswahili is clearly a natural language.
Yes, yeah.
So, Professor, what advantages from a scholar perspective do you think Kiswahili would bring to Africa and Africans should it get officially adopted as a common language for all Africans?
Everything would change. Yes. As a society, we would be in a position to learn, adopt, and spread other people's cultures.
Correct.
Okay? And we would relive those cultures. So socially, we would get more cohesive because we are sharing a language we can discuss, and we now understand each other better and each other's culture. So we are now becoming a society. Politically, we will be in a position to articulate our views more cohesively and eloquently to a larger audience. Therefore, you are able to spread your political perspectives in an easier manner. And you can look at the politics and the social aspects from many angles. Diplomatic angles, for example. Diplomatically, you will be able to enunciate your policies to each other better. But even as a united group to other countries and continents in a better way, using your own language and in your own terms. But economically, Africa would go very far. When I have to trade with someone using Kiswahili, so we are using one language. We are agreeing in most of the things because we can communicate. We are not using a go-between, okay, who can disrupt our communication, and one who can even understand our secrets. I mean, when we write all our contracts in English, and it's not our language, have we not broadcasted everything that we are planning and doing to the world?
Essentially, we have.
If we did it in Kiswahili, it's our voice. It's us who knows it. And we can use it from a point of strength to trade with the others. So there are many economic values. So I'm saying, if Africa united under one language, the gains are endless. Yeah.
Yes.
They are endless.
Which means that Africa as a continent has been missing out on all those advantages that you've talked about, courtesy of the 5 colonial languages that we still use today as official languages across all over the continent.
Courtesy of the 5 colonial languages. So if we united under one language, we would not miss out in all those opportunities. We would not be using their languages to tell them what we need. We will be using our language to say what we need. Yeah.
Finally, Professor, from a scholar perspective, kindly talk to us about Kiswahili on the aspect of the academia of the language, in terms of the availability of, let's say, graduate teachers, dictionaries, the lexicon of Kiswahili, the literature, the grammar, sarufi, the isimu or linguistics, and research repositories on Kiswahili, the availability of such academic document to support the use or the teaching of Kiswahili all over Africa. How available is the wealth of Kiswahili as a language?
Let me start by saying this. I am amongst the first generation that was taught Kiswahili in Kiswahili. Those who were before me, just a few years before me at the universities, were being taught Kiswahili in English.
How is that possible?
Yes. I personally wrote my master's thesis in Kiswahili, but wrote my PhD thesis in English. Okay?
Your Kiswahili PhD thesis?
Yes. I was analyzing Kiswahili, but in English.
Correct.
I was amongst the first generation thanks to Professor Chacha Nyaigoti Chacha to write their MA in Kiswahili. His was the first MA in Kiswahili. Before him, everybody wrote their MA thesis in English.
In English.
Right now we have a department of Kiswahili here, and those who are writing their PhDs from about 6, 7, 8 years ago are now writing their PhDs in Kiswahili.
Correct.
Previously they've been using English. Okay? I'm trying to show you how Kiswahili has developed.
Developed over the years.
Because when we were students, we didn't even have Kiswahili teachers. I think for a long time, since 70s, up to very recent, we had only one professor of Kiswahili, the late, in the University of Nairobi. The late Professor Mohammed Abdulaziz. Right now, there are many. They are not 5, they are not 6, they are not 7, they are not 8.
At the level of professor.
At the level of professor. I can talk about this university and the department that I had because I know it.
Correct.
We have 19 lecturers in that department. 17 of them have PhDs. And one will be getting hers either this or coming year. So only one will be without a PhD. The first PhD in the Department of Kiswahili was in 1999.
The very first.
In this department.
In this department.
Department of Kiswahili.
Within the University of Nairobi.
Yes. Previously we had a few, the other generation.
Correct.
We had Professor J. Kitao, we had Professor J. Kitao and others, Professor Mohammed Bakari. But from this generation and the Department of Kiswahili as established as a department, the first was in 1999. So that when I was a student and when I started teaching at the Department of Kiswahili, there was no PhD. Okay? Then came Professor Habwe, Professor Amitila, and then they followed Professor Raya and others. Okay?
Correct.
So there has been a massive development academically. And these people are not just getting PhDs. They are researchers. They have done a lot of research. They have written a lot of books. Okay? And I have just talked about the University of Nairobi because that's where I am at.
Yes.
Same thing is happening at Kenyatta University, in Moi University, and every other. So when you ask me the situation of Kiswahili in the academia,
yes.
I can tell you it's very, very advanced right now. And I can tell you there are a lot of research. Then the other question you asked, do we have enough teachers?
Yes, graduate teachers to teach Kiswahili.
And I can tell you every year this university is graduating over 300 Kiswahili students, half of whom are teachers, trained teachers. That is the University of Nairobi.
At the degree level?
At the degree level. That is our department alone. Kenyatta, I can tell you, has more. Moi has many. Okay? And all the other universities like Kipi and wherever. So, do we have enough teachers? My answer is yes. If any country in Africa requires teachers,
Kiswahili teachers,
they are available. Last month, I believe it was, the United States of America came to Kenya to look for teachers to teach Kiswahili in the US.
In the US?
Yes. They applied and many got. Or they are in the process. But every year we said teachers. So we have teachers. We have enough teachers to go around Africa
and teach
if
Kiswahili.
needs be. Yes.
Great.
Because every year we graduate teachers. Very few are absorbed in
locally
in our local schools, education system. But and many of them go to do things that are not related to teaching because of the opportunities. I know many journalists who are our B.Ed students. Even politicians who are Kiswahili students, they are
Correct.
there, MPs and whatever. So, and even governors.
Correct.
So, we do have more than enough teachers to go around Africa.
And to help Africa learn Kiswahili.
Yes, yes.
Finally, still on the same breath, in terms of, you've talked about a lot of research that has been done on Kiswahili language and actually published in Kiswahili language itself. Now, let's talk about the world of artificial intelligence, specifically the large language models, the LLM aspect of artificial intelligence. Is there enough data, published research on Kiswahili to support LLM in artificial Kiswahili large language model?
The research on AI and the collection of Kiswahili corpus, or what you're calling data,
Yes.
has been on for a very long while. It has been taken up in some universities that developed, I believe in one university in Sweden that I know, that had the capacity. You know, we didn't have the AI capacity and that kind of a capacity.
Correct.
The machine capacity for a long time, but there are universities that have had this. And they have had scholars. There are many scholars from Tanzania, Kiswahili scholars, that I know, and from this university, that have been doing this abroad. And even locally, there are students who have really taken it up. I'll single one, Hezekiah Gekambi.
Hezekiah Gekambi.
He's a journalist, former journalist, used to work with the Taifa. His work is on machine translation and AI. He's doing a lot of that and corpus and he's
using Kiswahili language.
Using Kiswahili language. I supervised his master's thesis. Perfect.
Correct.
On that angle. He is now doing his PhD and concentrating on the same. There are many scholars who are doing work on AI. I know people know someone like the former student of mine, I'm forgetting his name. He comes to some TV every Friday. Nuhu Bakari.
Nuhu Bakari.
Yes, he has been doing a lot of work with these companies, the Microsoft and the others, which are trying to get corpus and to develop Kiswahili in the world of AI. So yes, Kiswahili will not be left behind by the world. Yeah, it's there.
So there's enough data to support such.
There's enough data, and it's still being harvested to make it as perfect as the other European languages, for example, are. The data is still being harvested. Yeah,
correct. Professor Iribe Mwangi, I want you as a scholar, as a Kiswahili scholar and professor, to use this opportunity to make a case for Kiswahili as Africa's common language and lingua franca.
Thank you. Africa has everything to gain if, maybe let me use when instead of if. When it selects one language as its continental language, a language that will be used in trade, commerce, diplomacy, and all other facets of life. From where I sit, there is no better language to do all that than Kiswahili. For several reasons. One, historically, many Pan-Africanists, most of who are now deceased, from the 50s, put in a case for Kiswahili as a language of Africa.
Correct.
To this day, we have people in all spheres of life, politics, diplomacy, academia, fighting for Kiswahili to be a language for Africa. So, if there is a historical basis and there is a current basis 50 years later,
Correct.
50, 60, 70 years down the line, then it's only befitting that that happens. But having said that,
Correct.
let me also add that the situation of Kiswahili now is not as it was 60 years ago. It has now spread much, much further than it had then. And therefore, it makes it even more urgent to make that declaration, especially given the changes that are happening in the world. So I still feel that the best language for Africa is Kiswahili.
Is Kiswahili.
And at this moment, when we have lost our foremost professor and writer, Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o,
Yes.
I can only remember him
Correct.
for his fight for Kiswahili. In fact, in one of his works, he has said that Kiswahili should not just be a language of Africa. It should be a language of the UN. That's what he has written. He was very passionate about Kiswahili. About 4 years ago, he gave a lecture in this university. It was virtual, but it was in Kiswahili.
Yes.
Yes. So I believe all these giants of Africa cannot be wrong. And the direction that I'm seeing us taking as a continent, we should embrace Kiswahili.
Kiswahili.
Yeah.
As Africa's common language.
As Africa's common language.
And lingua franca.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Professor. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Wow.